iconic TT circuit, Aston. For as long as we've been coming here, we've had just about every single bit of weather imaginable. Downpours, deluges, spring-like sunshine, tail ends of European heat waves, and, for those in the World Superbike paddock in 2019, snowfall. But we've never been to Assen, where the real feel is 38 degrees Celsius. The air temperature is 33 and rising. Assen in the sunshine, just beautiful. Afternoon practice is coming up, starting with Moto3, where the top 4 team will move through into Q2, leaving the rest to fight it out for the top 4 places in Q1 tomorrow. And seeing as we are in the land of all things waffle related, you join myself, Nico Giles, and Elliot York next to me. Good afternoon, mate. We're going to have a small delay to Moto3. That's just come up now. We had a red flag in the FIM Harley-Davidson Bagger World Cup free practice 1, so we've come on out at the right time, but 5-minute delay coming up in Moto3 practice at 20 past 1.
Good afternoon, yes, and looking forward to this one. As always, Friday afternoons really do kick-start the weekend in MotoGP, and looking forward to see how this one plays out in baking conditions, even a short walk to get a spot of lunch through the paddock and walking back with a coffee as well. Get a little bit of a dab on, I've got to say, even striding out for less than 5 minutes in the paddock. It is very warm, and I think it's going to be a case of finding shade where you can for the spectators. In the main grandstand, of course, you've got plenty of shade with the roof covered, but lots of these grandstands and, of course, the famous hillsides here at the TT Circuit Assen, there is not a lot of shade to be had. So hopefully they've got some tan lotion on, the umbrellas are up, but not the rain. Hopefully that remains for the rest of the weekend as well. And conditions are going to be pretty brutal out there for the practice sessions this afternoon.
Yeah, I think for all the fans, to keep with a World Cup theme, a few hydration breaks are going to be needed across the course of their afternoon. And by hydration, I do, of course, mean the special stuff. This morning, Alvaro Carpe led the way at times over in the Czech GP as well, but unfortunately couldn't get it over the line for his first Grand Prix win. David Armand is second, and Max Keeler's third. If you are just joining us for the first time this weekend, a big new project, a big new chapter for Moto3 is coming up from 2028 onwards, and that is that Yamaha will be the sole bike supplier for the Moto3 Plus. That comes in 2028, and as that graphic says, it's built to inspire the champions of tomorrow and shape the future of Grand Prix races. 2028 until 2033 minimum, and from 2029 onwards in the FIM Moto Junior paddock, they will also have the rights there as well, the sole bike supplying rights there. So Yamaha, really great to see them back in the lightweight class, but also good to see that with a bit of cost cutting and enhancement in performance, more modern Moto3 machinery, and a big global rollout right across Southeast Asia, South America, and all the regional championships, Moto3's future is sustainable and secure.
Yeah, in safe hands as well, isn't it, with Yamaha as well, obviously. One of the lead manufacturers across MotoGP's very rich history, Yamaha right at the forefront of that. And yeah, interesting news, of course. We were expecting it for quite some time, but it was official yesterday here at the TT Grand Prix in the Netherlands that Yamaha will be taking over the bike in Moto3 based on the R7 engine. Won't be the R7 engine, it'll be a full prototype machine. So very interested to see how that one plays out. They'll go testing next year, of course, and then the full rollout in Moto3. Massive change for the riders coming through the Road to MotoGP program as well, and I imagine some of these riders in Now, of course, the focus is on 2026 and in 2027. The bikes will remain the same, a little bit of development, of course, but we'll be seeing KTM, the CF Moto and the Honda packages on the grid next year as well. And this is Joel Kelso we're focusing on, Kiko. A decent morning for the Australian.
Indeed it was. Top Honda honours up there inside the top 5. So Joel Kelso going great guns. Worth noting, we haven't had a Yamaha in the lightweight class since all the way back in 2009 in Malaysia. The last winner, though, very important one, this one, Argentina 1994, Jorge Martinez Aspar. So it's only right that the fight that he won on back for his win back in 1994 is going to be the bike he's probably going to roll out for the Moto3 Aspar team, should they still be in the cars, of course, in 2028. It's a long way away, but a long way away in normal calendar year, but not in terms of racing year. 18 months, not a lot of time.
No, it's mad to think we're already nearly in July in 2026. It was an age ago where at the end of February we went racing. It was the debut, of course, of Vader Batama on our screens in Moto3. And what a great season that young Vader is having so far in Moto3. Can't wait for the end of the season when we go to Indonesia. We go to Malaysia, of course. Indonesia, our latest winner in Moto3. A hero's welcome expected for Vader Batama in Indonesia and Indonesia in Malaysia. We're really excited for that stretch of the season. It's going to be a brutal one for riders and the whole paddock. I think it's 7 Grand Prix in the last 9 weekends of the season. It's going to be a pretty manic end to the year, but it's one that will hopefully decide all 3 championships in Moto3, Moto2 and in MotoGP. But right now, focus on Assen, and I was quite impressed actually looking at the timesheets this morning with Marco Morelli. We just saw him on our screens there. The analysis timesheets, that we get a nice little indication of what we might expect come Sunday. Lots can change, of course, between now and then. But Morelli put the 15-lap run together on the same tyre straight out of the box, and his fastest lap, 141.262, did come on his 40th flying lap of the session, and that was enough to put him P4 overall as well. So the young Argentine had a really solid start to the weekend this morning.
Perhaps not the biggest surprise, of course, because we know Marco Morelli's great all the way through Grand Prix, got pace right at the end. The thing that's going to be very interesting for Morelli is actually what's going to be coming up now, because he had a 100% Q2 record up until the last time out when he was 22nd in practice, and then came in too early in Q1, thought he was safe, and turned out he wasn't safe. So Marco Morelli will need to clear that hurdle first. This one coming up has got to be in the top 14, because it's okay having great race pace, but you've got to be in a position to capitalise on it. A good comeback ride last time out, actually 20th on the grid, all the way up to 7th in the Grand Prix, and you do feel that probably had he qualified a bit better, his pace was more than good enough to actually be in that lead group with his teammate Max Keelis and
Yeah, 100%. Hasn't been on the front 2 rows in the last 3 Grand Prix. Marco Morelli qualified in 20th, as Keith mentioned last time. That did get bumped up to 17th with the several grid penalties we had in Moto3. But yeah, it was a good comeback ride, but Morelli has mentioned that qualifying and the opening few laps of races is where his Achilles heel has been so far in 2026. Otherwise, his race pace in the latter stages, second half of the races, has been absolutely superb. And fair play to Morelli for coming from P17 on the grid to finish 7th place last time out. Not quite the comeback that Indonesia did or Vader Batama were able to do. Finishing inside that top 5. Indonesia not to win the race last time out over in Brno. But yeah, Morelli having a very decent season, a very good season. Not just decent, a very good season. Just needs to iron out a couple of details. He's mentioned this a couple of times already so far this season, and he should be a regular podium contender once he can sort of nail qualifying down, but not just qualifying, nail the sort of starts he's able to get himself in a better position in the second half of the race.
Yeah, and from one Argentinian to another, Valentin Peroni will be looking for something a bit special as well. He was very, very special here last year on the podium, of course, back in the top 10 last time out for the first time since he was 7th at the Spanish GP at Jerez at the end of April. So Valentin Peroni back in the top 10 and back in the points as well, because he's been a few rounds without points. The last time he was in the points before Bruno was Catalonia. So Valentin Peroni's just finding it a little bit difficult at the moment to try and sort out everything really. Qualified seems to be okay, but Grand Prix he has been struggling in. But we'll go green and a small delay. Moto3 practice 35 minutes ticking on down. Track temperature is going to be well up beyond 40s now. I think we're well into the 50s. Air temperature on my phone here in commentary is 34 degrees, but the real feel is 38, so it is so totally out here in the Netherlands. I've been saying for the last couple of days, it feels very, very strange that we've come all the way up here to our most northerly destination, come all the way up to the Netherlands. We're going to be leaving with sunburn. As you can see, the graphic on your screen, the Moto3 Asia Cup built for the world stage, and that is very, very true at the moment. Vader Patama's on your screen. He's had a podium in 2026. The other riders on that graphic, Dennis Onchu, the winner in Moto2 Grand Prix contention last year on 2 occasions, and Ayagura, who is edging ever closer to the first Japanese win in MotoGP in 22 years. So Ayagura flying the flag, but the Moto3 Asia Cup really has given us some gems from that part of the world, and we're now seeing what they've got on the big stage.
Yeah, 2 Moto3 Asia Cup winners just coming through your screen there. Vader Patama, of course, has been a shining light so far in 2026 in Moto3, and Zematani, of course, for the 2024 Moto4 Asia Cup champion with 7 wins and 10 podiums to his name that season. Zematani not quite got going in Moto3 yet, but I'm sure he'll come for the young man.
Worth noting that this morning we've already had a session, of course. No crashes. We only actually had crashes in MotoGP. Marc Marquez and Diogo Moreira. So no crashes this morning in Moto3. Everyone kept it up. Like the absolute best time this morning was a 140.869. The best race lap is a 140.395. That was set by Joel Kelso last year. But expect tomorrow more so than the pole laps to be down towards the 139s. Should we continue having this beautiful sunshine that we're experiencing right now. Eddie O'Shea just behind his teammate Joel Kelso. O'Shea this morning was 15th place, so outside the top 14, it doesn't matter, of course. In F1, tight opening first section of the weekend. Just over 8 tenths splitting the top 17. It is so close in Moto3.
Yeah, as always, of course. Carpe and Almanza sort of stole the show a little bit in the closing stages. Carpe improved on his final lap to get into the 140s to join Almanza, who set a 140 a couple of laps earlier in the session. Those two the only riders in the 140 bracket. As I mentioned, Marco Morelli's fastest lap time, a 141.262, was set on 15 lap old tyres, 14 lap old, 15 lap old tyres. So really impressive stuff from the Argentine, and it was 2 Aspar team riders inside the top 4. Max Keeler's having another decent session inside the top 3. He's been pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, Keeler's is, as long as he's up in the top 5, really, you just know he's going to be there right the way through the weekend. He might not be as dominant as what he was over in Renault, but he's still right there. He's still one of your favourites going into Grand Prix Sunday, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the number 28 to see what exactly he's got. 42.1 is his opening gambit. That's already beaten by Hakim Danish on a 40.994. Grand Prix winner from last time out in the Czech Republic. And what a rookie year he's having. He's been a real turn up for the books by my reckoning now. I mean, we knew he was quick. We've seen plenty of him in Red Bull Rookies, Junior GP and the like, but I don't think anyone had that after 9 rounds, Hakim Danish would already be a Grand Prix winner. And what a way to do it as well. He's only led 1 lap of the season. It's all you need if you want to be a Grand Prix winner.
Exactly that. The door opened for him, didn't it, with contact between the number 28 on our screens. That's Keeles and Brian Ariati, who was leading on to the final lap. A little bit of contact at turn 9 over at Renault. Opened the door very slightly for Danish, but he passed them both and then went and strode to a pretty comfortable win, actually, in Moto3 terms. Didn't get troubled on the final lap with the elbows out action that we saw going on in the scrap for the podium places, but phenomenal stuff from Danish to stand on the top step of the podium. Of course, clinched his debut podium over at Mugello with a fantastic comeback as well on the final lap. Stood on the podium now in 2 of the last 3 Grand Prix. Danish had a big moment there, coming through a very fast part of the circuit, of course, here at the TT circuit after turn 11. We saw a couple of riders in Moto2 having moments there as well. The track out there was going to be greasy this afternoon. Grip is probably going to be at a premium compared to this morning. As we mentioned, well, as Pico mentioned, track temperatures are surely rising above 15 degrees at this stage. So it's going to be interesting how close the riders can get to the times of this morning. 141.8 is our manager's top time. We're around about a second off what we were doing this morning. To be honest, I don't expect the riders to go too much faster, even in time attack mode, because compared to this morning, temperatures, or ambient temperature, has risen around about 8 degrees. Track temperature, a lot more than that. So I think the riders just got to be cautious out there, work out where the grip is, where they can push. Obviously, a very punishing circuit on the rear tyre, especially, is the TT circuit. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that. I think we'll get a replay of what happens to Denise.
We are. He's going to ask for the power. Just steps out a little bit. That's just cracking it in time. He'll not be too worried about that. Hakim Denise just going about his business at the moment. They're in 6th place. Top 14 on the timing tower highlighted. They're the ones that will move through when the checkered flag in this session comes out. David Almanza. Pulls a wheelie coming through 16 and 17. Gert Timmer chicane blast into the line. What's it going to be? That's a bit of time there. 41.395. Just 600 to drift. The Gold Coast. Oh, dearie me. David Almanza's riding like he stole it. Jürgen Lee watches on pensively in the garage there down at the Liquimoli Dynavolt Intact GP team. But, yellow flags at turn 6. Oh, that's quick. That's really quick. That's Ruskenhoek at the end of the Bienenschlag. So someone has come to grief over there. And it's a big train of riders as well. So let's hope that they are all okay. We're getting yellow flags at turn 6 on our graphic at the top of the screen. As you can see on the map, it's more towards or between turn 7 and 8 where someone has gone down. The yellow flags are in, so hopefully no one is too badly injured and the bike is obviously badly damaged. It's made up of Tamo it was who has gone down at that part of the track. I imagine that maybe he's got to the front at turn 6 and then slid along on the runoff down towards turn 7.
Yeah, you can see, if we get a replay of that, it looks more like on the track graphic than it was into turn 8, which would make a little bit more sense. We've seen a few riders crash down at turn 8, something tipping it right into Steckenval. More sort of noteworthy corner to crash at than turn 6. Hopefully for Thomas' sake it is turn 8, not turn 6. Both quick corners, of course. Turn 8 a little bit slower than the fast full chap kick, really, at turn 6. Hopefully the Indonesian rider is okay, but not the start to the session that number 9 would have been wanting.
No, not at all. And it's something we talk about quite a lot of time here in Moto3 practice. But the first thing you want to do is to throw it at the scenery here. If you've seen a lot of work through, you might get up an injury yourself as well. So the last thing you need is to be able to crash in Moto3 practice, because it's this session that matters in terms of getting into Q2 directly. I can tell you that, well, according to the graphic, David Tano is back in the pit lane, so hopefully he's all okay. The fact that the yellow flag is very good will also suggest that. So David Tano, the number 9, at the moment down in 12th, as Kiles works his way around the outside at Ramshoek, as you do on a Friday afternoon on Hakim Denise, sideways on into the chicane. Through turn 17, over the curve to 18. Don't go on the green now on the last lap, because you'll most probably lose a spot at least, and then down in towards turn 1. I'll tell you what, Denise fancied it on the plates there, didn't he? He's good on the plates, he's number 13.
Certainly is. We don't normally get the pit-in signal for a rider who's just crashed and is still out there on the service road. So Indonesian fans, I know there's a lot of you tuning in for Veda Pitama and everyone else, of course. So I think Pitama is back in the box, which is obviously good news. I love seeing shots of more riders looking behind, seeing them climbing all over the machine, spinning through the chicane. A real sort of gem in the crown of MotoGP in terms of ends to a circuit, corners to go watch at. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Yamanaka jumps up to P6. That's better for the Japanese rider. Turn 11, that is another quick one. I mean, most corners are quick here at the TT circuit. Aston 11 especially so.
Yeah, that's on the exit and the run back through the fast stuff in the 3rd and 4th sectors, as we get a replay of Ryusei Yamanaka leading home Rico Salmella and Valentin Peroni as they come through that final chicane here at Assen. Ryusei Yamanaka up in 6th place on the number 6. This is Matteo Bertelli, just come through turn 11. Yellow flags in, so hopefully everyone is okay. Maybe it was an off-track excursion of some sort that brought out the yellow flags, but we'll have to pick that up in a minute. Max Kiles is going well here. That's a bit of a moment just behind. That was for Bertelli, who was on a good lap, but looked like he had a bit of a moment for Ramshoek. Kiles coming to the line here, working a bit with Denise. Kiles goes third, Denise goes 6th. They both lose time. in that final sector. Vitelli also lost a good chunk of time. There's a bit more in the number 18's locker there. He's there in 9th place. At the moment, it's still Calso, Almanza, Keelan, Carpe, and Eddie O'Shea up in the top 5. So Michael Laverty's grid racing team double top 5 as things stand after the first 10 minutes of Moto3 practice.
Tama then does now knock out the signal on his timing screen as we get nice close, a bit too close, but for our eyes anyway, with Indonesia going to the inside of Joel Esteban into turn 5. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on Tama for you guys at home. Haven't seen it. Space again, the lap times in mid 141s look like at the moment. That's the sort of great pace.
He's lost the front down at Harbox. Oh dearie me, David Almanza, that's not the way to do it. Well, turn 1 has caught out its first victim of the weekend, and it was David Almanza. I've got to say, he was looking a little bit loose in there a couple of times. So David Almanza been trying to pull the clutch and to keep that engine running, and hopefully for him, no, it's all over. He's going to have to get it on the service flow. Down through the gears, Hunt's tucking about there. He was just coming off the curb, and you don't save that now. Not in the corner enough.
No, classic turn 1 crash here at Aston, wasn't it? The front end just watching away. No chance of trying to pick it up on the knee or the elbow for Almanza. He's all okay, which is good news because he's had his injury trouble so far this season, but he's going to have to fire that KTM back up on the service road, and yeah, hopefully it's not too damaged. It didn't do any barrel rolls, I don't think, which is good news for mechanics down there in the intact GP box. But a couple of early crashes then in clearly more difficult conditions than we had this morning.
At least Almanza has had a banker lap time set though. Vader Patara at the moment is down in 17th place, so not ideal for the number 9. Carpe's coming through on the K-Shape and just runs in right up the inside. We saw Carpe doing that to Adrian Fernandez a little bit early on as well. So Alvaro Carpe obviously quite confident down into the chicane in Moto3 practice and practice on a Friday. So I was just about to say a word as well about Almanza. Because he's left him alone, he's got that space. It's so hard to find round here at us. You see it all parts of the racing. MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, 2.5, 2.4, you name it. It's very, very difficult to find a bit of track time, and we see so many penalties year on year here at this track because there's only one line, particularly through turns 1 and 2. Riders trying to get out of the way, but they end up on the apex at turn 2.
I do fear later on in the session, especially in the Moto3 class, when everyone's trying to jockey for position, trying to get a bit of slipstream if you want to need it, especially towards the end of the lap where it is ferociously fast through. You come out of 11, then the famous final section here, once you click through 12, 13, 14, 15, ramshackle towards the back of the under through 15, already seen so far, even in this session, at the start of the session and in free practice 1 this morning, riders cruising around the outside, which of course you're able to do to some extent because the pit lane entrance is on the right hand side on the exit of 15 before you get to the chicane of 16, 17 and 18. But I do fear, as you rightly mentioned, it's quite a tight circuit here in terms of it's quite narrow. Obviously it's so fast and flowing this section, especially. I absolutely love this part of the TT circuit, Aston, and the riders do as well. But just watch out for this part of the section later on when riders are just beginning to start their lap, coming to the end of a potential outlap and just trying to fight for position. It could get quite tough.
And this is the part of the circuit has remained unchanged for so long. It's a real iconic bit of tarmac, and looking back through all the years of World Superbikes in the 90s, early 2000s MotoGP, when they shortened this place right down to the current layout we have today, they left that bit untouched. I'm so grateful that they did, because it is the best final sector of the year. This is Rico Salmela just coming through the long right penalty loop. It's a bit of a kicker coming into that, so you've got to be so careful now. Coming in towards turn 3, Osnabrücken, and then this is down into the Strubben. This is at turn 5. 3 and 4 as well, they've taken all as one, but for some reason that I can't explain, it's all one corner on a track map. And then out through here and down the back straight, we have a look at the box of Max Quiles, Jorge Martinez Aspar to his left, Danny Barber, his crew chief there as well, working hard. They'll both be trying to see how Max Quiles is feeling and what they can actually do to see the young Mercian rider coming through a little bit more. Hot conditions out there, of course, as well. You can see that with a bit of sweat on his face, but Max Quiles don't need to be sweating. He's up there in fourth at the moment. It's safe and sound so far with just under 20 minutes.
yeah, just trying to read the body language there of Keyless. Didn't look overly happy, but didn't look too unhappy at the same time. We don't normally see Keyless come into pit lane either at this stage of practice. Maybe he's just finished a bit of a remonce, a couple of things changing before time attack mode is engaged. The red first split for Ryusi Yamanaka, but has lost time through the second and third. So let's see what he does. Through the final split, pace or tie wear is at a premium here, 142.4 for Yamanaka, so that's just over a second away, as you can see from the top time from Kelso. No one really has been able to get close to Kelso and Almanza the last few laps, as Almanza does return to pit lane. Good news for the 22 and the intact GP squad. Can't see the right-hand side of the bike, but it can't be too damaged if Almanza got back to me.
Intact by name and by nature, thankfully for the team at the moment. So Almanza comes back in. This is it again, banging down through the gearbox, tries to get it down to an apex, can't, and ends up down in the gravel.
Yeah, find the limits down at turn one. Not a disaster for Almanza, of course. He's injured. The bike looks relatively okay as well. Better to do it now than a bit later on in the session if you've not got the time on the board, of course, and better to do it in practice than in qualifying or in the race.
In terms of turn one crashes here at Assen, I always think back to Alvaro Bautista, absolutely clearing out Jorge Lorenzo there in 2012, I think that was. Alvaro Bautista coming through from a rather modest 8th on the grid and trying to win everything at turn one. So Alvaro Bautista, yeah, writing his name in Assen history as Adrian Fernandez comes through the final chicane and goes up from 20th to 7th. That's a bit more like it from Adrian Fernandez. We know his head's dropped a little bit since the opening 6 rounds of his season, all null and void. But Fernandez there in 7th. Let's hope that he can have a result this weekend, because he deserves it.
He does, yeah, through no fault of his own. He was disqualified from the opening 6 Grand Prix of this season. That time I was going to mention is going to get swept off because he was on the green coming through 17 and 18 where these riders are now. So unfortunately for Fernandez, that's not a time that's going to stick, unfortunately. But yeah, speaking to Leopard, obviously last weekend, Mir Dragateur did, and understandably so, explain that it has affected Adrian Fernandez with what's gone on with the team and the qualifications, and you can fully get on board with Fernandez's frustrations and sort of disappointment. Very, very disappointed is Fernandez, because it was a great chance for Fernandez to fight for a title this year, at least finish inside that top 3 as well, and show Moto2 teams what he's capable of. He can still do that, of course, but he's not going to be able to fight for the title, or realistically the top 3, or maybe the top 5 to be honest, depending on how the season goes for the rest. But you've got riders up there like Keyless, Carpe, Uriarte, Almanza and Morelli, who are all consistently well inside that top 6, top 7 bracket and winning races and finishing on the podium. So fingers crossed for Fernandez, he can have a good weekend this weekend, and of course going into the summer break where he'll probably hit the reset button, go away. Obviously he's got his brother Raul Fernandez in his corner as well. A good summer of training and trying to just regather his thoughts for the second half of the season.
And he's on a decent run here. I mean, this lap now puts him up into 7th, and he looked like he was pretty clean through the final sector that time around. So Fernandez has still got the pace. Let's see if he can get through directly into Q2. His teammate Guido Pini, we pick him right up on screen now. He's in a KTM sandwich. Uriarte's just ahead of him, then Rico Sarmello is about to be ahead of him. Has a bit of a look down into Rampant, but can't do it. Pini's going to come into pit lane and does so, but Pini up there in 9th. So 2 Leopard Racing Hondas inside the top 10 at the moment. Oh, that's a lot better than where they looked across the entire weekend last week in Plymouth.
Yeah, Pini just squeaked into the top 14 on his final lap. It was over in Brno, and Fernandez was not really in any shout of a top 14 last Friday. So yeah, better stuff from Pini, who didn't even get to enjoy his opening weekend race here last year when he had a technical problem on the grids. Thankfully, quite a dangerous situation when a rider, I don't think he stalled it. I think I saw on the replay that the rear end did block. I think it was a technical issue for Pini that cost him a chance of getting away. Thankfully, there was no issues in terms of riders hitting him on the grid, because that's the first worry when a rider is stationary on a start line. A very dangerous situation. Thankfully, Pini, he was all okay. But yeah, wasn't able to get a race under his belt here last year on the KTM. Hopefully that doesn't happen again this year in terms of Pini not being able to race because he qualified pretty decently on the country road, I think it was, last year for Pini. So clearly enjoyed himself until that technical issue on the start line, and it would be nice to see Pini having a bit of an easier time of things this weekend, because it's been a bit of a struggle, got to be said. I think he knows that, he's admitted it himself as well, that just things aren't clicking ever since his debut Grand Prix win, of course, over in Austin. We thought that was the catalyst for more podiums and wins to come for Pini. At this moment in time, that is not the case.
It's been anything but the case. I mean, rarely scored that many points at all right the way across the last few Grand Prix. Just on that, you mentioned about how dangerous that situation is with a rider stalling on the grid. It's particularly dangerous when the like someone like Guido Pini last year qualified on the third row of the grid. That's a lot of riders coming through behind you. So for Guido Pini, he was a very, very lucky Italian last year. We're in a bit of a lull at the moment in this session. At the moment, Adrian Fernandez is still out on track, as we see so often on the Moto3 practice session. Almost everybody else is in pit lane or rolling down pit lane. So just a bit of a calm before the Assen storm here in Moto3.
Potential storms weather-wise coming tomorrow and Sunday. And then, yeah, a final 10-minute storm in terms of the riders trying to fight for track position and get into the top 14. Focusing in on Casey O'Gorman. Great to see Casey on track, actually, because of big off over in Brno. Had a couple of big high sides in the Czech Grand Prix, most notably the one in the Grand Prix where he was inside that top 7 and fighting for the win. Did a brilliant job, O'Gorman, off the line to get himself in that lead group, and was mixing it with the eventual race winner, of course, Aki Denise, and the podium finishes in the top 6 before he was chucked over the top of that Honda. He did go to the local hospitals just to have a bit of checks on what was wrong. Marco Grana saying... Marco Grana, I'll come back to that in a minute. Marco Grana saying that, yeah, hopefully he is okay to ride this weekend, and of course he is, and he's inside that top 10. Back to the save, though, from Keyless.
Oh, dearie me, that front end was folded. It didn't fold as big as we've seen before. Oh, wow, that's naughty. That's really bad. Keyless absolutely flying through there at Ramshoek, and he caught and pit lane entering Adrian Fernandez. And then this is the second one. We saw it live, front folding about here. Look at the bump. Oh, he done well there to dig his knee in and just pick it up. But the scary one was the first one. Oh, dearie me. Nico Tron and Jorge Martinez, that's far.
What I was talking about on the exit of 15, when a rider is coming into pit lane, Fernandez didn't quite catch the sort of lead up to that point, but Keyless obviously caught Fernandez at the wrong time. If you're coming into pit lane, you've got to be, well, from that point of view, you've got to be a bit quicker getting over to the right-hand side and into pit lane. That is Fernandez in the box, incident currently under investigation, but that looked pretty sketchy, unfortunately. Thankfully, Keyless and Fernandez didn't come into contact, and there may be a potential cold front tyre at the cause of the moment down at turn 1 for Keyless. This is another moment.
This is it again. Fernandez is on the racing line at that point. Fernandez is on the racing line at that point, and he's yet coming into pit lane, but the pit lane speed limit entry isn't active until further in, for that reason, so they can get off the racetrack and get down there and then start braking. So I've got to say, I feel there's going to be a penalty coming Adrian Fernandez's way, because he's on the racing line at that point. Max Keyless is coming through at such a rate of knots. That's one of the fastest parts of this racetrack, and yeah, Max Keyless might well be the one behind him, the one with the vision, but he is not looking out for riders dawdling on racing lines.
I'd be surprised if they haven't been told already that Simon Quaver, of course, Chief Steward, up there in the MotoGP Steward's office, telling the riders, if you're coming into pit lane through that part of the circuit, of course, you need to be going pretty much at full speed, and then close your speed coming into pit lane, because, as we've just seen, it can be a pretty scary situation. The closing speed, of course, around there could end in disaster. So, yeah, we'll see what comes of that situation. Keyless, as though, has forgotten about it, and is on his way to potentially setting the fastest time of the session. Potential moving up the goalposts here for the championship leader.
Yeah, fastest lap time of the day, remind you, on 4.869. So at the moment we haven't got down into the 140s. Keyless out wide, coming through to Bolt, and this is over at turn 10. He's got the turn for Tully climbing all over him at the moment. So Keyless, he's also not in a position just to roll out of it just quite yet. He's going to have to get out of the way and let Vitelli through if Vitelli wants to come through, which looks like he does, but these two... Keeler's always seems to have a level up MTA KTM on his toe right behind him. We had Joel Esteban right with him, well, quite a lot through this season so far. Now it's Vitelli in this section. This is the second time this session that we've seen this. Less than 10 minutes ago, Keeler's got cross lines on 1.1673. That's not going to trouble anything really in the top 4 or 5 places. Vitelli there at the moment. Where is Vitelli? In 9th place. So Vitelli's in 9th place and out there lapping away and safely at the moment into Q2. Cut-off points is Cormac Buchanan in 14th place on a 142.197. Now 142.197 earlier on today would have put you in 22nd place. So the pace is slightly off this afternoon, but I remind you, this is not a combined session. What you see is what you get. We saw David Almanza move out of pit lane just a moment ago. He's now entering it again, so perhaps all is not too well for the 22.
Yeah, intrigued to see what's going on there with Almanza, currently second place, so not got too much to worry about as things stand. Neither has Joel Kelso, sitting patiently in pit lane is Kelso, and some of the riders coming back into the box now. If they're not on pressure, there will be in a few moments' time for the time attack. Good lap times coming in though for Vitelli and Keeles. Vitelli, as you can now see, slightly quicker than Keeles, and through the sort of fast final sector here of 12, 13, 14 and 15, going to get a nice bit of slipstream as well. We're going to stick on board through that section.
Yeah, we might want to be changed to a front-facing camera if Vitelli blasts on by. You can see this is the hottest bit of the racetrack as well, over 50 degrees centigrade. So that is really, really hot, and it's going to get hotter. Vitelli up the inside of the chicane. Does he get it done? Where's he going to end up? Up the inside and through. So Vitelli, we had to clear Keeles there because Vitelli was actually losing a bit of time behind the number 28. Vitelli improved his time to stage 9. Let's see what he's got next time around. Well, is Keeles going to dive bomb him in towards one? Yes, he does. And Keeles, as aggressive as ever, runs out over the top and doesn't just blow Vitelli's lap, but blows his own as well.
You'd see that coming a mile off, couldn't you, Keeles? Didn't enjoy being overtaken by Vitelli at the Timmy chicane. I agree with you. I don't think Vitelli really had too much of a choice. It was on a great lap, Vitelli. Lost time, of course, in that final split, but did still set a personal best lap time. But Keeles, not a pointless run. He was still learned some things, but that moment at turn 1 being passed by Vitelli at the Timmy chicane, unable to improve his time as well. And that moment, of course, Adrian Fernandez, he'll be wanting to have a bit of a breather, come back into the box, maybe slot another fresh Pirelli rubber into the rear end and the front end as well of that CF Moto machine, and then we can go again in the final 6.5 minutes.
We know you've got to fluster Max Keeles if you want to get the better of him. And you know, when he, I'd say flustered, but slightly disturbed out there at the TT Circuit Assen. Right, 6.5 minutes on the clock, so everyone is now out on track, with the exception of Valentin Brani and Rico Salmelli. So both the KTM Tech 3 machines are not out there just yet. Batama is out there though, so the number 9 has managed to get back out on track, it seems, for a final push right at the end of this session. Big name's not in at the moment. You can have a look down towards Braden Palmer, Joel Esteban, Marco Morelli down in 21st place, Scott Ogden in 22nd place, Valentin Brody 23rd, said already, and then that's about it as far as notable names are concerned. Up inside those top 14 places, good surprises incoming from Cormac Buchanan and Casey O'Gorman. Yamanak has not been up there at all really throughout this 2026 season. It's great to see Eddie O'Shea as well up inside the top 5. So there's a lot of potential movement coming as we get down into the business end of Moto3 action on a Friday.
Yeah, potential movement incoming, and a lot from this group as well. Scott Ogden is in this group. Uriarte is well placed behind his teammate Alvaro Carpe. Carpe, as you can see up inside that top 3, Uriarte definitely needs time because he is under half a tenth away from losing his time inside that top 14. So Uriarte on the 51, looking back at him now, does need a time. Adrian Fernandez comes in the first split, very fast indeed. So has Uriarte, so has Rios, Kelso, Carpe, a lot of red sectors on our timing screen. So, as expected, this is going to change quite a lot in the next minute or so.
140.869, the fastest time from this morning. I'm fairly sure that is going to go. No further action taken after reviewing Adrian Fernandez and Max Keeles' incident down at turn 15. Now, that is slightly surprising. Now, of course, we've only seen it from one angle. Race mentioned, and the stewards do have more angles at their disposal. So Adrian Fernandez at the moment is absolutely fine as he comes through the far stuff towards the end of this lap through sector 3. Red sectors everywhere. Joel Kelso, Nacho Cruces are absolutely flying here. We tell you that also under the time, Brian Uriarte as well as Hakim Ganesh right in touch. This is going to be absolutely blockbuster here at the end of this. Eddie O'Shea is nearly 4 tenths under 3 seconds in. Let's have a look at this though. Fernandez across line doesn't improve at all. Rios does, and so does Zen Matani moves through up into 14th place. So good stuff there. This is Dinesh turning round. Adrian Cruces, who's coming to the line now. Cruces going to go top. No, he doesn't. Goes fourth. Elso moves into the 140s and is the first rider to do so this afternoon. So the number 66 with a 140.918 at the moment. But I think that's still got a bit of movement left in it yet.
Great lap from Kelso. That would have put in second this morning. Clearly, there's a lack of grip out there in these hotter conditions. It's a Honda 1-2-3.
It is. Eddie O'Shea improved this time and went third. Peony is there in second place. I think Peony and O'Shea are working together and working side by side as they come through turn 5 and now down the Beanslang. This back straight here that joins up to the Strubben hairpin and Rushton Hook and the start of all the fast flowing stuff where these guys are all coming to now. This is turn 8 at second mile. Be careful not to run out wide there. Rico Salmella diving up under one of the Rico Snipers machines. That was Jesus Rios getting the Salmella treatment.
Certainly was. Close there from Rico Salmella, on Rios. Salmella, though, pushing on, and understandably so. He needs a time here. Does the young Finnish rider. It's getting a bit busy on the exit of the ball to turn 9 and into turn 10. Riders, as we mentioned earlier on in the session, trying to fight for track position and fighting for a top 14 is Salmella. Let's see what he clicks through the third split at. Surely he's off the bit of time. A little bit, but not too much.
Oh dear, Max Gilles is waving around like the number 28 looked like he'd run off onto the green as well. Let's hope he was okay and able to come back onto the track. Looks like he was, but Max Gilles is really not happy with something out there at the moment. Salmella, he's dynamite on this lap. He's just come under, that was Casey Gorman at the chicane. So Salmella, let's see how much time it's cost him. It did cost him a bit, but he still goes top 5. So the Finnish rider at the moment moving through directly into Q2. He's going to blow turn 1 at Harbock, so he's going to get 1 lap only at the very end of this. Improvements further down, it's not enough for Scott Ogden, the number 19, 17th of the minute. Marco Morelli, who was outside the top 20 a couple of moments ago, is now your top KTM machine up in 4th.
Yeah, Jorge Martinez Aspar looking quite pensive, and understandably so. Quiles is now P11. Quiles is already careful here. Rider at risk, Adrian Fernandez, but Quiles is also at risk in P11. Not sure what happened with Quiles running onto the grass on the outside of turn 12 and into 13 and 14, but we'll keep an eye on Quiles' progress because he might not need a time, but he certainly won't want to be sweating as much as he is in P11 as things stand.
Yeah, I think at the moment the top... Manzo had a little bit of a moment there coming through turn 10 and 11. We've got yellow flags at turn 6 now. That is going to ruin a load of lap times, and that is fast down there as well. As we pick up David Almanza, I thought his time was going to go away from him due to that moment, and it has. But Almanza, I reckon, is fine at the moment in 7th. Matteo Batelli, who has gone down in turn 6 and 7. We've got the yellow flag now over there, but that is going to scupper, and probably has scuppered, a load of lap time. So, unfortunately for the MotoGP FIM stewards, are going to be sharpening some pencils, I think, next time around, because there's a lot of laps that are probably going to go. We've got a lot of grey sectors anyway, but we should see the majority of these guys get round for one more. Let's see. One more with Carpe now coming through the final sector. Sorry, that was Uriarte, wasn't it, that time around? So we were on board with Brian Uriarte. Casey Gorman is out of the top 14 at the moment. Uriarte is in 10th place at the moment, so he's okay. Carpe 7th. Peroni's that time run away. Peroni is last in this session, Elliot, with 20 seconds to go.
Yellow flags for turn 1, who has gone down is in Casey Gorman. So a lap time's then for the riders coming across the line for the final time. All those riders going through your picture there, those aren't going to count. I'm trying to see where Peroni is. I mean, all but 2 riders, maybe 3 of them, you can see on the map, are all together, locked together. So where is Peroni? I think this could be potential session done for Peroni here.
I think Quiles is in that group. The thing is that everyone's going to lose their lap time if they set it quicker here on this one. This is O'Gorman, lost the front very, very early, very similar to what we saw from David Almanza. Footplex go flying as O'Gorman goes rolling through the gravel. That's another crash for Casey O'Gorman. He's had a fair few in recent rounds. Hopefully he is all okay. He's up on his feet, so it seemed good to me. But with the checkered flag out at the moment, so on the 1-2-3. This is Moto3. He's getting a lift back at the moment. He's there in 15th place, so he's going to be in Q1 tomorrow. Let's have a look. Oh, he's lucky that laid him down softly, because that could have been a big high side. He took a beating in the gravel anyway.
Exit turn 7 then. It wasn't turn 6, it was turn 7. The graphics telling us two different things. The pictures telling us the truth, though. Coming through turn 7, glad to see Vitelli is all okay. A fast one down there at turn 7. But we mentioned Peroni, Kiko. He's not on a lap time, even if it's one that's going to count. He's 2.7 seconds off with the third split. Peroni is finishing last in this session.
Yeah, that is just not what we have come to expect from the Argentine at all. He's dawdling on the racing line as well. I mean, no one's behind him on any kind of lap, I don't think, so that's too much. He still needs to get out of the way. Valentin, well, that is just a disaster as far as disasters go. One of the biggest that we've seen this year for the number 73. One last, and that was a real deflating end to that session now because of the crashes. No big improvement, but well, Michael Laverty is going to be absolutely grinning, isn't he? Because first and third, Joel Kelso and Eddie O'Shea have done the business, and they are top Hondas in Moto3. Guido Pini is the meat in Guidem Lapsani. Marco Morelli there in 4th place, and Adrian Cruces there in 5th place. But we've got a very, very random top 5. We could argue top 10. Marcus Uriarte, great job from the Super Sub. Joins his teammate David Almanza, moving straight through into Q2. And some riders have missed out. Scott Ogden, Jesus Rios, Matteo Bertani said, Kato Gorman, both of those were crashes. Then Matani was briefly up in the top 14, 19th at the end. Valentin Peroni won last. Joel Escobar holds it over in Brazil. He was only 22nd, so we have got a right old Q1 coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, a bit of a jumbled border, isn't it, in Moto3 terms. We've obviously seen Kelso top plenty of sessions in Moto3, and of course, including this season, it's a real turnaround on a Friday for Guido Pini. Great job from the Leopard Honda rider, but the riders sitting outside the top 14, a lot of them weren't able to improve in the closing stages. Buchanan, Moodley, Esteban, Fratama and Peroni all didn't improve from the 6th lap onwards, so weren't able to get a lap time in the closing stages, and that's why it's important sometimes to get a banker in. Yellow flags can happen, and that's exactly how it's proved today.
Yeah, the top 8, the only rider that didn't improve in the last run was David Almanza, but don't forget Almanza did have that crash at turn 1. Adrian Fernandez just about squeezes in, so Leopard Racing, 2 rights in the top 14. Now that's a bit more like it on a Friday. They've really been hopefully or hoping for those riders further up the order, that they're both in at the checkered flag. Anyway, Joel Kelso it is on a 40.918, not the fastest time of the day, but the fastest time and the only time in the 140s in the Moto3 practice session. Guido Pini second and making it a Honda 1-2-3. Eddie O'Shea for Great Britain there in third. Marco Morelli makes it what I reckon to be yes, 4 different nationalities up inside the top 4. In fact, we've got I reckon 7 in the top 7, so that's a bit of a varied, I don't know, 6 in the top 6. Cruces and Almanza are both Spanish, but either way, Valentin Peroni all the way down there at the end. He is one of your big headlining names to be moving through from Q1 if he is able to, but that is far from ideal. It was tight in the end though, less than a second covering your top 18 in Moto3 practice. And that is all done. That means I'm off out of here. Lewis Sotheby is moving in alongside L. Moto2 practice.